Yes, another huge lot of scrap EEPROMs. 52 pounds. Matter of fact, it says 52.5 on the label. Complete surprise, baby. Seriously. Right in the middle of doing the last video, when I said I wasn't ever going to do this again, this came up and they wanted about $10 a pound, so they were asking 500 bucks buy now or best offer. And I thought, you know what, if I put in a super low offer and I get it, fine, I'll deal with it. And they accepted. So here's another huge lot of them. Going to do it the same way as last time. I'm not going to worry about the 28 pin chips. Didn't see a lot in the auction pictures, other than it looked like the legs were pretty straight, which I kind of thought that last auction too, and they ended up not really being that straight once I started going through them. So going to go through and pull out the non-stickered chips and sort those. Then going to go back through and pull out the 32 pin or higher chips and actually pull the stickers off those and see what I got. Got a lot of questions in the last video about why I'm doing this. Originally started doing it for NES repros, using donors and doing all that kind of stuff, and still have the Repro X coming, which you can use EEPROMs on as well as Flash and EEPROM. But then I found out that the 8 megabit chips are pretty valuable still, like maybe somewhere in the $5 to $10 per chip range, and those are really popular for SNES repros. But the 4 meg down through the 64 kilobit chips are still useful for SNES repros. And I actually had a guy say, well, what are you going to do with the 2716s, because the arcade guys use those. And I'm like, well, I have no plans for them, actually. I just have a fairly small collection of those still. But if I know I can sell them, then yeah, I might actually clean them and erase them and straighten the legs and put them up for auction. So let's dig into this, I guess. So yeah, immediate impression is for 52 pounds, I think they could have put more tape on the box. It does feel like a fairly sturdy box. I don't remember where it was coming from. Looks like Georgia. But it didn't make it here in good shape. But yeah, I mean, that, just pulling a chip out, those legs look really straight compared to all the other crap I usually get. Is that a 32 pinner? Yeah, that's a 32 pinner. Actually, it looks like there is a lot of 32 pin chips in here. That's great. And lots of labels, which, in the last video I showed you, matching the labels up sometimes means you can quickly find similar sized chips. And that looks like it's going to happen here. Well, that's a similar label, but a 28 versus 32 pin chip right there, so I don't know. Too dirty to see right away. But yeah. Start dumping these out. What the hell? Very, very tall header. Always find random junk in these. Not really seeing any big 40 pin chips right off the bat, but that's also okay, because I don't really do anything with those. Okay, I do see a plastic chip. 628128. I'm guessing that's an SRAM chip. 628128 LP-10. The -10 usually means something about speed. Okay, there's another plastic chip. 68 1000 BLP 7L. No idea. So yeah, I'll definitely separate out plastic chips. There's another one. 27C 2001. I can already tell you unless that thing was never programmed, that's pretty useless. Because if it's plastic and doesn't have a window and it's 27C, that means it's OTP, which means one-time programmable, and it's, I mean, only good for maybe precious metal scrap recovery, and I'm sure there's really not that much in them. There's another one, 27C 2001. But what I am seeing is the legs are fairly straight and they're just a little bit gull winged. I mentioned that in the last video. Like the legs aren't just straight down like they've been straightened to put into sockets or into a motherboard, and they're tilted outward a little bit like that, and that's what they look like when they're brand new. So yeah, they might be blank, I don't know. It's happened before. Well, I guess I'll dump them and start sorting them, and we'll do some time lapse. Actually, this box is so huge and so full, I'm gonna have to do a little bit at a time. I can't dump this whole thing on the table. I would lose half of it onto the floor. So yeah, a little bit at a time. You know, it occurs to me I could do two things at once here. I could separate out the stuff with no label on it, but I could also separate out the 28 and 32 pin labeled chips also. That might actually save me a step. I really hate dumping these and throwing it back into boxes and whatnot. Just the more chance for me to crack some crystals. And what I mean by that is the window that's made of crystal. Had a lot of those last round that were cracked. It really sucked. Yeah. Hey, look at that. We did get some small stuff. Separate that stuff out too. Separate out the plastics. Separate pile. Okay, now we can start doing time lapse.
So yeah, a lot of work, and that was just for the chips that didn't have any labels on it. One 128, very light on 256s, pretty heavy on 512s, extremely heavy on 010s or just 1 meg, pretty heavy on 2 meg, kind of light on 4 meg, and 0.8 megs. But at least I didn't have a bunch of 64s and 32s, 16s, and all that kind of stuff either. I had a few I didn't recognize. 27513. I swear I've seen that before too, and I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I looked it up, and I don't remember what it was. Like maybe it was just a different pinout. Then I had a few that I hold back because they're a little heavy on gold. So if I ever do a precious metals lot, I'll put them in a different box. So yeah, 4 of the 513s. And I did have a couple of broken crystals, just a couple. So those will go in the precious metal recovery box as well. And a pile of junk back here. I had a bunch of these. X28C 512D-20. Zycor. Kind of interested to see what that is. 512 makes me think it's some kind of prom, but the -20 makes me think RAM. So I don't know, but as straight as I thought the legs were, they're not really straight enough for me to want to keep them for myself. Like even that chip's pretty straight, really. But it's like, it's probably more like 70-30, heavy on the overly bent. So I'm not going to sit there and try to sort them for myself. Let's see, I'll probably... I had a few that were just too dirty to even see, so I'm going to clean those. I'm going to look at the plastics though and see if there's anything interesting in the plastics. Alright, so yeah, these are in fact EEPROMs. Ceramic Dip EEPROM. They're all the same one, so they're 512. But that's really cool. I don't think I have any ceramic dip EEPROMs. Very interesting. Probably, I think I looked them up on eBay and there was none. None had sold, none are for sale, so probably really rare, which might mean they're valuable in demand, who knows. These are PALs. Couldn't find much on this stuff. These all say DHC, which possibly means dynamic headroom control, and this one has MTI, which possibly means moving target indication, which was the only electronics acronym I could find that made any sense, and I just don't see this little SIT module being something like that. So yeah, and a microphone, random cap for diode. So that's it for this miscellaneous pile. Well, I consider this a fairly decent sample size, and it looks like I'm really only going to end up with 1 and 2 megbit chips. There's not a lot of variety in the labels. It seems to be either Protel or Elcotel, and they're all 1 and 2 meg. What I was looking for was exact same labels. Like right here, these are all the exact same, so Most likely those are all exact same size. That way I wouldn't have to peel off every single label, and I could just sort them that way. And I found that one, I thought maybe all of them that had this serrated edge label on it would be a 2 meg, but then I found that one and it was a 1 meg. Or I found one that had the same number or something. Yeah, that one. Maybe not quite exactly the same, but yeah, exactly same number, just a different label. It turned out to be a 1 meg, so I peeled that one. It was 1 meg, so now I got to pay closer attention to those. Yeah, there is a lot of different labels as far as different numbers, but so far I'm definitely not seeing any 8 meg chips. I really haven't actually found anything besides 1 and 2. So the question is, do I really sort them, or do I really peel labels, or do I just, I don't know. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I just want to move on to other stuff, so at this point it kind of feels like just move on, do something else. I mean, I've got plenty of 1 and 2 meg chips already. That's not really the issue. Alright, so moving on to the plastic, I want to see if there's anything interesting in here. I'm guessing these ones that have stickers on them are probably either OTP, one-time programmable, or they're EEPROM, and that'd be nice. A couple of really large ones too. Probably like 42 or 44 pins, something like that. C101, so that's an OTP. I'm guessing all of them that have that kind of sticker on it are OTP. C 2001. Anything plastic without a window on it's probably OTP, unless it's like a 28 or 29. It's 27C, it's OTP. 27C 2001. So I'm going to separate out all the ones with labels on them. Seems pretty obvious that they're going to be OTP. Probably got a lot of the same chips otherwise going on though. Got some 27 CST chips, 27C 2001, but it doesn't look like there was ever a label on them, so there's a chance they're still empty. Be worth looking at, I guess. Looks like I might end up with a few of those. Here's another one. 628 128s. No, that's SRAM, right? I don't remember exactly what size. D43256s. Seen a lot of those. Anyway, let's power through some of this. Alright, so the plastic stuff, we got some 7.4 series logic. The 82S126 1K proms. Like field programmable, but I don't think they're erasable, so these are probably going into the junk pile. Stuff like the stuff with the stickers on it, the 27C stuff that can't be reprogrammed. And these two ended up being RTC 72421 B's 4-bit real-time clocks. I believe this one is a Texas Instruments 22V10Z, so that's a PAL. And we got a Max 666 CPA, which is voltage regulator, programmable from, was it 1.6 to 12.5 or something like that volts, capable of 40 milliamps, so best suited for battery powered stuff. This one I'm not finding much information on. It's a TI chip, TM1501 or 141BB. It's just nothing's coming up on data sheets. So the surface mount CM8870 CSI is a DTFM receiver, dual tone multi-frequency, so it has something to do with phone systems. Well, absolutely zero information on the big chips. Motorola branded, but then Alcatel, which I've seen a lot of those. Maybe not the plastic ones, but I've seen a lot of stickers that said Alcatel. That and Protel. So this might all be telephone equipment. After seeing that one chip, that little surface mount plastic chip. And just Alcatel sounds like telephone to me. But yeah, I can't find nothing on those S38 AC033 PPO1. And that one's S38 BC013 PPO3. Yeah, almost none of the masters numbers match up between those two, so throw them in the miscellaneous pile. And I got a couple EEPROMs, 28C512, 28C64. Okay, so 62256s, 256K of SRAM, and then the 628-128, 1 meg, I think, of SRAM, 128 by 8, and these are 32 by 8. It looks like I got the same combo with these Sonys. CXK58257 is basically 256 SRAM, and 6K581000s are basically 1 meg SRAM. Huh, so it looks like maybe might have the same combo 3 times, because I got NECs that had about the same numbers, 43256 and 431,000. And yes, just check data sheets and that's what they are. So all of these are kind of out of picture there. I think, if I remember right, still not in picture, am I? If I remember right, even the 628-128 stuff can be used in NES Repros, but I know for sure the 28-pin chips can, the 62256s. I have to double check on the 32-pin stuff though. You know, that might also be 1 meg SRAM stuff. KM681000. I don't know, I'll have to check. And yes, datasheet says those are 128 by 8-bit SRAMs. Cool. A couple more stragglers. The Samsung K6T1008 C2E are also 128 by 8 SRAMs. So we got one straggler left here. So the last one is 73K2121, some kind of one chip modem. So there's more telephone, more evidence of being a telephone. So lastly, I'll straighten a few legs on these OTP proms and see if they're empty or not. If not, we'll go in the pile that had the stickers on. Well, I tested a couple of each size and they were not blank, so I'm not going to sit there and test all of them. It's just not worth my time. So, into the scrap pile they go. I can assure you, that is the last time I'm doing that. I just, at least with ceramic EEPROMs. I recently went back and looked on eBay. Even the 8 meg stuff, you can buy it brand new for $1, $2 for the 8 meg. All the other stuff's even cheaper. So as far as getting EEPROMs, this is not the way to do it anymore. It was when I first started doing this a few years ago, but it just seems like people like UT Source have just listed all kinds of stuff on eBay, which makes it easier for anybody to get hold of. Trying to get it straight through UT Source, kind of sketchy, but at least I did get some SRAMs out of the deal and learned a little bit more, found some chips that I didn't know what was. You know, that's also part of the experience. But 50 pounds of almost the exact same one or two different size EEPROMs, just, it's not that much fun, you know. And for whatever reason, eBay sellers want to charge almost as much for plastic stuff, which technically I guess there could be just the same amount of gold in those as the ceramic stuff. At least it depends. Like 2716, 32s, all 08s, all the old EEPROMs, and some of the larger sizes, it's almost like there is a bed of gold that the silicon sits on, as well as the bond wires. So it seems like some of those have way more gold, but that's not what I'm doing this for. I don't really care about precious metal recovery. I don't have any kind of recovery equipment. Don't really want to do the investment to do that. It would be fun, but I don't know, it just seems like return on investment's not there anymore. So yeah, I would say don't do this unless you can get, like for this lot, get it for way less than 10 bucks a pound. I'm thinking more like 5 or less, especially if it's all ceramic. I don't know. It seems like every time I think the plastic is not worth doing, that's the most fun part. And I learn more or find more interesting stuff, you know, like I would say probably of the 50 pounds, 45 of it was all ceramic, and you know, all of that stuff was all 1 and 2 meg chips, which I already have enough of anyway. I have way more than I'll probably ever use. So I probably won't even take the stickers off those other 2 boxes of 1 and 2 meg chips and just sell them like that. I don't know. So yeah, probably the last one for a very long time. I know I said it last time, but you know, like I said, I had a bid in on this one while I was doing the video for the last one. I wasn't expecting to win this one because I bid so little for it, or best offered I should say. Best offered so little for it, and they accepted, so whatever. If there's another one, it's going to be like this where I just offered way too little and they accepted. But days and days and days, many days, not an entire day, but many days of me sorting through this crap, and it just no longer seems worth it. I would do this again if it was like a box full of EEPROMs, because you don't have to clean those, you know, you don't have to erase them, you know, you can do it electronically just like that. So I don't know, but EEPROMs are prettier. Just wish I had a clear
sticker that I could put over the crystal window that would keep the UV out long enough so that it wouldn't hurt them, because I do like looking at those way more than black plastic chips, but whatever.